Open Town Hall. You guys excited? You guys aren't loud enough. You need to be louder. You gotta wake up. You gotta wake up all the zombies that are walking on the 37th floor. Thank you so much for being a part of Busted Open history. As I said, first ever Busted Open Town Hall. First time here in the Fishbowl. We call this studio the Fishbowl. This is the premier studio here for SiriusXM, and you guys are a part of Busted Open history. So now, Busted Open hasn't always been live in such palatial studios such as the one that we're in today. And I'm going to go back 6 years ago to 2017. And in 2017, I was hosting a show with Larry Dallas in one of the makeshift studios in one of our offices on the 37th floor. It wasn't even a real radio studio. It was pretend. And on 2017, I had a very special guest. It's going to be the person that's the man of the hour here today, your AEW World Champion, MJF. And I sat down with him 2017, and Court Bauer from MLW said, Dave, I need you to do me a favor. Can you interview this new independent wrestler that has created quite a buzz on the indie scene? And I would really like it if you took the time to have him in studio. So we had him in studio with us. And I got to tell you, that first ever meeting, I knew that this guy was going to be a star. How did I know? Because he pretty much embarrassed and humiliated me for 45 minutes straight, which might happen again here today during this town hall. But I want to go back 6 years ago, and I want to play a clip from that interview.
Ladies and gentlemen, just in case you're deaf, dumb, blind, stupid, or let's just assume poor, my name is Maxwell Jacob Friedman. How you guys doing today?
You know what? I'm great.
I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not doing great because you honestly look like crap. To paint a picture for the listeners at home, I am looking at a fat, out-of-shape nerd in a what appears to be, what does that shirt say? Wow. It says suplex. When was the last time you suplexed anyone in your life? I'm curious. I think the answer is no. It was pretty rhetorical. You looked at yourself in the mirror today and you said, you know what? This is okay. This is fine. And you walked in here and you just settled. And I don't do that. I never will do that because I can't do that. I'm incapable. And that's why I am already one of the best going today. And I will continue to be one of the best going until everyone in the world decides MJF is the greatest of all time.
Now, that's 6 years ago, and you could definitely make the argument that he is the best right now in the world of pro wrestling. And I'm still fat, out of shape, and a nerd, but I did kind of dress up a little bit nicer than I did that day in 2017. But, you know, here's a guy that knew his goals. Here's a guy that knew that one day he was going to be what everybody was going to be looking at. And on Sunday, there's going to be over 80,000 fans that are going to be watching him in the main event of All In. Here's a guy that 5 years ago was the opening match at the first ever All In, and now he is in the main event of what is maybe the most historic show that we're going to see on Sunday. So let's bring in your AEW World Champion, Maxwell Jacob Friedman, MJF.
Shot. If it's not louder, I'm going to leave.
He needs to be all right. Here we go. Come on.
Okay. Oh, man. Pockets are... My wallet's too thick. Hold on. Let me put that over here. Got a big old iPhone. Put that over here. Got to be, a little flexible.
Listen, I know. And you got a heavy belt there in your lap.
It's disturbingly heavy.
Yeah.
It's disturbingly heavy. I'm exhausted and I'm sitting down. That's how heavy this belt is.
Well, I played a clip from our interview in 2000.
In the broom closet when you looked like a total schlep?
Yes.
Yeah, I recall.
Yes.
I recall.
Man, a lot's happened since that day in 2017. And it can't be lost. The moment can't be lost. I told you before we started here that couldn't have timed this show better, because what's going to happen on Sunday is history. Yep. And you're a part of it. Not only are you a part of it, you are the guy.
Yeah, I'm the headliner.
You're the headliner. You're the main event. You're the world champion. Man, it's quite a story. It's quite a journey. And I kind of want to go step by step through that journey to where we are right now.
I don't know, Dave. I hate talking about myself, but I guess.
Well,
I guess.
This is all about you, because think about it. And at least from the outside looking in, that day in 2017, I saw a star. Did you see that star?
Yeah, always. And I think that at first that really annoyed people. And I think that's why at one point in time, I was the most hated man in all of professional wrestling, dare I say the world. Because people don't like someone who is overconfident. What they call that, unfortunately, people will use terminology like braggart, right? Mm-hmm. I've went from being the most hated man in all professional wrestling to being the most, let's face it, loved man in all professional wrestling. And dare I say the most over, although it's not really a dare anymore now, is it? And I think the reason that happened was because people realized, oh, he's just unapologetically himself. How am I supposed to hate somebody who's brave enough to be unapologetically themselves 24/7? A lot of people in my profession, it's almost like they have to don a cape and a mask before they walk through that curtain. They need a quote-unquote gimmick. No gimmicks needed with MJF. I'm me 24/7, and I think that's why these people showed up today. I think that's why people keep showing up every single Wednesday on Dynamite, and I think that's why everybody's going to show up come August 27th at All In, baby. You should clap.
Yeah, that pregnant pause was for a clap. We're going to teach the audience as we go along.
You'll figure it out.
Yes, we're going to teach the audience as we
clap. I just finished talking. Okay, good. You're doing great.
Their hands are going to be tired.
Now you're getting it. Now you're getting it.
Their hands are going to be tired. But it's a gift, and you have this gift, because if you want to be hated, you'll be hated. If you want to be loved, you'll be loved. I don't know, there's only a handful of performers that you could really say that about in the history.
I call it emotional puppeteering.
Okay.
Thank you.
But you're able to do that, and it's a gift, and it's very few people that are able to do it. Maybe you are one of the few, if not the only one that could do it right now in 2023.
Yeah, I definitely feel I'm the best, but I'm not going to sit here and pretend I'm the only one. There's this weird thing going on now in professional wrestling where I'll see fans online, the way they communicate with each other. It's like all-out war. Mm-hmm. And, like, just so you guys know, that's not what's going on. Like, with, like, the wrestlers, like, we're all rooting each other on because, realistically, the better the two companies are doing, the more money we're going to make. So, like, stop arguing. Like, we're all freaking having a blast. I'm watching LA Knight and Cody Rhodes every week, and I'm having a blast just like I know everybody else is having a blast. Just like I know that there are fans out there watching Better Than You Bebe having a blast every single week. There's so much great professional wrestling going on, and there's more than enough room for it, clearly, because AEW is about to have the biggest crowd. This is not hyperbole. Wrestling is unfortunately a very hyperbolic sport. The biggest crowd ever in the history of the sport, and I'm headlining it. When I think about that, it's so insane to me because, and I think another reason why people can't get enough MJF is because I'm really similar to a lot of the people that watch every week, besides the fact that I'm a freak athlete and I'm way more handsome than everybody and a prodigy. I grew up loving this sport. Yeah. I had a John Cena fathead in my bedroom. I woke up to that man staring at me. That's insane. I had posters of CM Punk and Roddy Piper and Greg Valentine and Jerry Lynn and Buddy Rogers. Like, I lived for this shit. And now I get to look dead into that camera and say that I'm the headliner for the biggest show ever, and it's not hyperbole. And I think that The reason people are behind me is because people see themselves in me. I'm a part of that dream, and I'm proud to be a part of that.
Let's go back to the beginning. Let's go back to the beginning.
Yeah.
From those days when you were just a fan.
Thank God. Whew! What were you saying?
That's always good for the ears.
Yeah.
Go. Program director brought that in. You were just a fan. Talk about those days when you were a fan. Were you dreaming of one day becoming a professional wrestler?
So here's the deal. I knew I was going to end up going down as one of the greatest of all time. And again, people are going to think that's hyperbole. It's not. I just needed this for my breath. Come here. Open your hand. Thank you so much. Sit back down. I always knew, I'll never forget, I looked at my father, who, let's be honest, he's a bit of a freeloader. But I looked at my father at the time, Steven. We were at Madison Square Garden. It was the first ever Elimination Chamber. Shawn Michaels had the weird Dutch boy haircut and the Dookie Brown pants. And he hits the pose. And everyone in Madison Square Garden is jumping up and down, chanting those three initials, HBK. And I remember vividly looking up at my father and pointing at Shawn and saying, I can do that. And my dad looked at me and he was like, yeah. Like any father would, because that's insanity.
Yep.
And I never shook that feeling that I knew deep down it was this guttural feeling that I could do it. And I would watch and I would study tape. I would watch old school stuff. I'm talking the original Nature Boy stuff on YouTube, which, by the way, if you're an upstart professional wrestler and you want to make it in this industry and you want to be different, you want to stand out, and you want to be a top name in the industry like MJF, YouTube, it's insane we have that at our fingertips. Because people grew up having to, I'm sure there are people here that had to trade tape.
Yep.
I didn't have to live that existence. Everything I wanted was at my fingertips. I want to watch this match, it's on YouTube. I want to watch this match, it's on Daily Motion. You know? So, and I took full advantage of that. So by the time when I was 18 and I stepped foot in a squared circle at the Creative Pro Wrestling Academy, I felt ready. And the fucked up part is I was.
And I think, because I think mentally is the biggest part of it, right?
Of course.
If you know right away that, hey, this is what I want to do.
Yes.
And then you have a family that supports you as well. I know your
Yes.
dad probably in that moment was like, come on, son, you're crazy.
Well, I can go back all the way to, again, talking about that guttural feeling. And I know religion in 2023 is kind of this scary topic. I'm a religious person. I'm Jewish. I believe in God. If you don't believe in God, by all means, screw God, whatever you want. I don't know why people argue over it. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But I believe in him. And I remember I'm on this college campus. I've only been there for 2 days. 2 days. And it's called Hell Week, essentially, as a freshman, when they try to figure out who they want to start, who's going to be first string, second string, third string. And the coach literally told me by day 3, we're thinking about starting you. And I knew they weren't bullshitting because they would put us in a formation and they would line us up in spots. And if you were starting, you'd be the first person in the line. And I was the first person in the line after day 2. And I'm 18 and I should have been over the moon, but I wasn't. I just had this guttural feeling of, I am not supposed to be here. I'm supposed to be the next Roddy Piper. I'm supposed to be the next Ric Flair. I'm supposed to be the next Andre the Giant. Screw it. Like, I was like, I know what I'm supposed to do. And it's not this. And I remember calling my mom and my dad. And this does not make them bad parents. It makes them normal parents. Mm-hmm. They were like, shut the fuck up. You're going to graduate from college or you're going to wind up being, homeless. Because that's the mindset as a parent. How many people here have kids, right? I'm sure you want your... Hi, how old are you?
11.
Mom, do you want him to go to college? No. Oh, sorry. Dad, do you want him to go to college? Yeah, of course you do, because that's normal. That's like a normal thing to want for your child. But I just had this guttural feeling, and I got really depressed. I was like, it was like an outer body experience. So, have I told this story on your show before? I don't know.
No.
All right. So I told my roommate, who at the time was also vying for the same position and was a freshman, and he was the drizzling shits. But that's besides the point. And I said, I don't know if I want to be here right now. And he was like, oh, and he left the room. And that was the weirdest reaction to me saying that. I was like, what was that? The next day I get called into the coach's office. He narked on me because he wanted my spot, which, by the way, I would have done the same thing. Smart move. But that's neither here nor there. And the coach looks at me, I heard you want to leave. And I'm like, fuck. I'm like, yeah, I think I want to leave. I wasn't going to say why. I didn't want the man to laugh in my face. And he goes, yeah, we can't let you do that. We're going to assign you an accountability buddy. I go, what? And in walked this 6'3" offensive lineman named Sal Levanti, who I'm friends with now on Facebook, was not friends with at the time, trust me. And he followed me everywhere. Everywhere. For 2 days. Followed me wherever I went. He followed me. If I went to the bathroom, he waited outside. I was literally held prisoner. They didn't want me to leave because they had spent a lot of time, money, and effort recruiting me. I waited till the wee hours of the night like a lunatic, packed the essentials, got in my Dodge Ram truck, and I drove all the way home. And my parents were livid. As anybody's parents would be.
Of course.
My mom was hysterical, crying. My dad looks at me, what are you doing? And in my mind, I was like, dude, I told you this years ago. I'm going to be a pro wrestler. But obviously, it's like every time I'd say it, you know. And I looked at him, I said, I'm going to be a pro wrestler. And he just sunk his head down and went to the room. And I felt such like a violent amount of disappointment. But to my father's credit, the very next day, he walked over to me. I Googled wrestling schools. If you're going to do this, you're going to do this the right way. I was going to pay for 4 years of your college education. Therefore, I will allow you to live in this house for 4 years. If you don't make it in 4 years, you're out. And my response in my head was, I only need fucking 2. Are you kidding me? And I was pretty much right. So yeah, that's the story of how my wrestling career started. Yeah.
It's a great story. And again, hearing about your parents, who I love, because they're two amazing people, and supporting you, because even as you're telling the story, when you're saying professional wrestler, that sounds like astronaut.
Yeah.
You know, that sounds like so out there.
And when you're a 5'0" Jewish kid from Long Island, it sounds even more insane. So I understood it, but internally, I swear I've had a feeling since birth, this is what I'm supposed to do.
And you know what? It's worked out.
I'd say so.
100%.
Yeah.
All right, so talk about that next step. Now, you make the commitment. Your father says, hey, you got 4 years. You know in your mind, you probably don't even need that much.
Yeah.
You go to Create a Pro.
Yeah.
Talk about those early days of training and going to school.
I'll never forget the first time I stepped foot in a ring. I mean, I get excited thinking about it now. My heart's racing. Like, it's just that moment when you know. It's like the first time I laid eyes on your wife. I knew she wanted me. But I knew. I knew. That's where I was supposed to be. I remember like a lunatic, like draping my hands on the ropes and smelling my hands and running myself into the turnbuckle and trying to take a bump before practice started, which was a horrible idea, and hitting the back of my head super hard and being like, oh, this ring is really hard. Because, you know, you grow up and all these morons tell you it's like a trampoline.
Yep.
A ring, dude, the ring is not any much softer than this floor that you get. It sucks. But I love it. And I remember the very first day of training, we were running through everything, and I was learning how to do the rolls, how to bump, how to hit the ropes. And this is going to sound insane, but I remember my trainer, Pat Buck, who now works at AEW as a coach, he looked bewildered because I was catching on, like, almost immediately, while everybody else was like, oh, you know, like try like on roller skates. Like, again, everything in wrestling is hyperbolic, but I remember my first day in the ring, I got it. Like, and I remember I'm like one of the only people that can say beyond a shadow of a doubt, after 3 months of training, I had my first match. That's really weird Like, that's not the norm.
All right, so it's 3 months. You're having your first match.
Yeah.
I'm sure in your mind you're like, I'm ready for this.
Yes.
So walk me through that first match.
I watched the match recently. I believe it's actually on YouTube. It was a tag team match. It was me and my tag partner was, at the time, his name was Joe Bronson. Now you can see him. He's one half the Iron Savages. They actually just had a match on Collision. He's the guy that went like this. And like it's like all over social media right now. And that mine and Joe's very first match was a tag match. And I'll never forget, again, I remember walking through the curtain and just being like, oh, okay. Yeah. And again, I hear these stories like, I remember I did Steve Austin's podcast with him. He's like, and that was the time, by God, the light bulb went off in that moment. In year 2, I felt it. And I'm like, year 2? Like, I knew instantaneously. It was like a fish jumping into a stream of water. I just knew. And you could watch the match back. I've not really changed all that much as far as the presentation and the athleticism.
And what year was that? 2015?
That was, I was either 18 or 19, so it might have been 2014 or 2015.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now fast forward just those 2 years.
The scary part is I have gotten better, like, which is terrifying because I was good on my first day.
You were great
out.
then.
Yeah.
And then now, like, look where you are. Yeah.
Doesn't even make sense.
So you think about that, and you're right, because you got it so early and you knew it and you connected immediately, that, you hear a lot of wrestlers talk about 5, 10, 15 years. 2 years later, you're already...
Those wrestlers didn't get to go into the school of... And I say the school, allow me to reiterate, I hate everyone I'm about to mention just a little bit. Just a little bit. Because, I had blood feuds with these gentlemen. But even when you're feuding with somebody, even when you hate somebody's guts, you pick up things. I was really good when I started in AEW. I can look back now and I can still say that with a straight face. I became great after I got to be on opposite ends against guys like Cody Rhodes, Chris Jericho, CM Punk, Jon Moxley. You have to get better, because if you don't get better, you're swimming with great white sharks and you'll get eaten alive. And the cool thing was, dare I say, they were in dangerous waters more so than I was by the time all of that was said and done.
Wow.
So
now, even though you connected and you knew it, were you still like a sponge when you're around people like that?
I still am.
Okay.
I'm a fucking lunatic. If there's ever an opportunity for me to get better in any capacity, inside of the ring, outside of the ring, on the microphone, I'll take it. I say it all the time and people are like, hyperbole. No. I've literally studied tape until, like... You ever see those crazy drug addict looking people where they have like all the red lines in their eyes and shit? That's me constantly, but I'm just watching wrestling. I'm watching wrestling, and whenever I have an opportunity to learn in any capacity, I absorb shit like a sponge, which is hysterical because my attention deficit is horrible. But for some strange reason, God was like, I'm going to give you horrible ADD, but you will be able to hyper focus on one thing and one thing only. And it's
been the one thing that you need. All right, so it's 2017, like I mentioned. I played that clip when you were on Busted Open. At that time, you're on the independent scene. You're creating a buzz for yourself.
Yes.
So when you're creating that buzz, are you looking at options? Because at that point, there is no AEW.
Yes.
So what's going through your mind then when you're creating that buzz like you did?
Court Bauer and Gabe Sapolsky both offered me a contract in the same exact week when I was 19 years old. So I had Evolve here, and I had MLW here. And I ended up going with MLW because the idea of learning TV excited me. I understood that Evolve had incredible players there, but to me, my end goal was always to get to this.
Yep.
Not to be the indie darling. This was always my end goal. Be the best in the business, be the world champion, because that's what being a world champion is. So I went there, and I got to understand the difference between television wrestling, even if it's at a smaller scale, versus the independent circuit at a young age.
and very young.
Yeah.
And because even at your age, there's probably people who would later become wrestlers that aren't even thinking about pro wrestling at that age.
No.
So that's 2017, 2018.
Yeah.
And you're obviously a lot of people are talking about it now because that gets you towards that.
I believe I
first
signed on at 22. I was either 20. No, I think I was 22. Because, well, let me think here. I'm 27 now. The company's been around for almost 5 years. So how old would I?
Yeah,
have been?
22.
Yeah, there you go. I'm a fucking mathematician and a world champion.
But before we get to AEW, All In, that first All In.
Yes.
Now, obviously, everybody knows the story.
I had no right on that card. I had absolutely no right being on that card whatsoever. I didn't. If you look at the names on that card at the time, which is hysterical because now I'm a bigger name than all of them. But at the time, no, it's fucking. What am I fucking lying?
If you look at the
so like literally you guys know the facts. So I'm working on not being like an overt braggart when I know that people know like the truth. I don't have to sit here and explain that I am the biggest ratings draw or the biggest merch seller in the company because it's just out there online now. But to look around in that locker room and be in that locker room simply because Cody Rhodes decided to take a chance on me, that's always going to stick with me. Now, did I beat Cody smack dab in the middle of the ring live on a pay-per-view? I did.
You did.
I did. But I am thankful for that opportunity that he got me because if I didn't wrestle that match against Matt Cross in the opener of All In, I wouldn't have been offered a contract and I wouldn't have had interest from both the two major promotions at that time, WWE and AEW.
So that's 2018. You find your way on that All In card.
Yes.
And you said you had no business, at least at that time, even being a part of that show. That was an historic show because probably a lot of younger listeners don't even realize just 5 years ago. Forget about what we're going to see this weekend. We'll get into that. But 5 years ago, you didn't see a show outside of the WWE.
Well, let's face it, it was the biggest show outside of the WWE since WCW.
Yes.
Point blank.
20 years.
Yes, 20 years.
And it's 10,000 fans. Now you see that type of audience each and every week.
Yeah.
But
it's because I'm on the card. But
yeah, exactly. Yeah. But you find your way on there. So you're seeing all these names. This is being billed the biggest independent show in the world here in 2018. How did you feel after that match? How did you feel after that show?
I knew I did a great job, but I also knew that there would be a big conglomerate of people saying, yeah, the kid did good, but what was he there for? I strive on that shit. Yeah. And we'll continue to talk about those things as the milestones added up in my career because every single time I've had a big opportunity in any capacity, the goalpost was always moved. Every single time. And we can get into that. But I remember I did a great job, but the goalpost was moved. Yeah, the match was really good, but why was he on the card? Okay. Well, WWE scouts and AEW scouts didn't feel that way. But okay. And then when I signed on with AEW, it was really just off to the races. And I remember, again, goalpost moment. I mean, yeah, MJF has really become the most hated man in all of professional wrestling. But can he have a good match against Cody Rhodes? First of all, if you can't have a good match against Cody Rhodes, kill yourself. Second of all, yeah, I can have a good match with anybody. I can have let me rephrase that. I can have a great match with anybody. Then I do that. Obviously, the match was awesome. You can watch it back now. There's highlight clips all over on YouTube with people made music videos and shit to it. People love that shit. And then after that, it was, MJF had an incredible rivalry and an incredible match with Cody Rhodes, but he can never be in a main event. MJF versus Jon Moxley. That match was incredible in the peak of the pandemic era, and people still bring that match up to me to this day. Yeah. MJF is. MJF could be in the main event of pay-per-view for the world title, but can he go toe-to-toe on the microphone with a legend like Chris Jericho? Okay. I did that for a year. Sure. MJF might have beaten Jon Moxley for the world title, but he can't wrestle for an hour against Bryan Danielson. I'll never forget how that of all the takes, that was the one that made me the most mad. There's a weird thing that has occurred in professional wrestling where, and I think we can all agree on this, 99% of the time, if somebody's really good at this, they're just okay in the ring. I don't know why that, I do know why that is. Because people rest on their laurels. They realize they can make just enough money and be just enough over by just being good on the microphone. So why put just as much time and effort onto this as they do inside the squared circle? I don't rest on my laurels. I'm a sicko. It's not how I operate. I wasn't raised that way. I was raised to be able to look people in the eye and say, I'm better than you and you know it. And mean it. So when I read that, I thought to myself, this is my favorite goalpost moment. Because not only am I going to prove I can go an hour with Bryan Danielson, not only am I going to have the best Iron Man match in the history of the sport, I am going to make everyone go, can Bryan Danielson hang with MJF?
Yeah.
And guess what the answer was? Nope. I won.
Why do you think... Why do you think people constantly move that goalpost?
Because people aren't used to watching history unfold in front of their very own eyes. It's scary. I'm scary. I scare people. I'm not supposed to be able to be this good at 27. It's weird. It's never happened before in the history of the sport. Now, there have been guys that have gotten huge opportunities at my age, but everybody knew that they had holes in their game. I'm not going to name names. You can think of these people where they got a lot of TV time and you went, oh, this guy's next up, but he needs to work on this or he needs to work on that. I don't got to work on jack shit, bro. I'm MJF. I'm the best in the world right now by my opinion, a wide margin.
You have the championship. Yeah. You're the world champion.
So,
like you said earlier, that means you're the best.
That means you're the best, point blank. And I think that's why. I think it's slowed down a tremendous amount. I think people finally have taken a step back and been like, all right, he talks a lot of shit. He cuts some corners. He's kind of a scumbag, but he's my scumbag. And I think now fans are they're excited to be along for the ride as opposed to being contrarians, as opposed to going, everyone's talking about how great this guy is. I'm sick of it. I don't want to hear it anymore. Now it's, all right. He's pretty fucking good.
Yeah, because I think everybody, probably everybody in this room included, have been along on the ride with you.
Yeah, since day one, and I appreciate you all for that.
They know that.
Thank you.
Now let's go back to when you did sign with AEW, made the decision to sign with AEW. Step me through that day. What was that like, putting pen to paper, signing with AEW? I
cried like a baby back bitch, Dave. It was so intense. Because, again, it was another moment where I bet on myself. I could have went the easy route. I could have went to the place that was very well established, that everyone's heard of. Everyone knows the three letters WWE, as you should. It's an incredible, amazing company that I still watch to this day. It's awesome. No one knew what AEW was. No one. It didn't exist. It's Fugazi. It's Fugazi. It's a Woozy. It's a Wazi. It's nothing. It was nothing. What I saw it as was an opportunity for me to make it something. I saw the opportunity to be the quarterback. I saw the opportunity to be the face of this promotion. And I jumped on it.
I'm guessing Tony Khan felt the same way as you did.
Maybe not at first. I definitely was not a quote-unquote chosen one. I wasn't best friends with anyone in power. I wasn't an indie darling. Frankly, I was Scrappy Doo. Like I was kind of Cody's sidekick, when the company first started. And if you think about it, I've built this all through hard work and determination. When AEW started, I got hit over the head by Joey Janela at a pep rally, if you guys recall, because Joey was the star at that point in time. I was this kind of undercard guy. Maybe he's got a shot. Cody seems to like him. Throw him out there. It's crazy to think about now.
Yeah, it's insane.
But that was my spot. And I'll never forget, ever, the amount of times I looked in the mirror and I said, you're going to get there. Just keep going. Because I've known what I've got. And I'm thankful and I'm grateful for the people that have been along for me on this ride. Even the people that doubted. Because now I'm seeing, which is a very hard thing to do in 2023, because everybody loves to hold on to an opinion, even if they know they're like wrong deep down. For whatever reason. Nobody wants to apologize.
It's okay to be wrong.
It's okay to be wrong,
Yeah.
and it's okay to have a conversation, too.
Yeah.
It's weird. Like, people will just put their, flag in the sand and be like, nope, this is it, done. And, like, that's insane. Unless you're talking about how great I am, then by all means, plant that flag. But, yeah, now I think everyone's pretty much come around on MJF, and everyone's agreeing that I'm a main event, I'm a headliner, I'm a world champion, I'm literally the headliner for the biggest show ever, and that's not hyperbole.
Well, let's talk about milestone moments.
Yeah.
And I'm sure what fans perceive as those moments and what you perceive those moments are maybe different.
Okay.
But I'm just going to look at somebody who is a fan like you were growing up. What was it like to see your first action figure? Like, what was that like for you to see an MJF action figure in a package?
I had this is gonna make me sound like such a mark bitch, but it's fine. I'm rich beyond my wildest dreams, so I guess I can talk about it now. But I used to have like an action figure like Fed, so I would like create matches and I would book matches like on my rug. So I would put, okay, this is where the tag match is happening. This is for the 4-way. This is for the world title. This is the singles match. Here's where these guys are going to start hating each other. And I would do that for like hours on end. So to see a physical embodiment of something that I utilized both as like a fun playing around tool, but also if looking back on it now, like I was kind of teaching myself like how this shit worked without even really realizing it. 'Cause I remember I would create these just elaborate cards and stories. And so, yeah, to see a physical embodiment of my childhood essentially was pretty wild. And now there's like 9 different variants of me because they sell so well.
Yep.
So now I don't care as much. It's not as special anymore as the first one, but it's cool.
So for you in AEW, and obviously, and we talked about this as well, there were some hard times because there was the lockdown and you're wrestling in front of no crowds.
Yeah. Me and Jungle Boy having an absolute knockout, tear out banger and no one's in the crowd. You're just dying.
And I can imagine what
Yeah.
that must be like for you, but for us.
Well, what it was like for me is I had to smell Jungle Boy. He smells like crap, but that's neither here nor there.
But for us,
Yeah.
like you were able, and there's not many forms of entertainment you can say this about. Pro wrestling, I know, saved me as a fan because during the lockdown was such a crazy time, such an uncertain time. To be able to see you in that match or to watch AEW or the WWE, that was like my only sense of normalcy during such a crazy period of time. So I thank you for that. But for you, when you look at so far in your career, and we'll get into this weekend, but what was for you the number one moment so far in your career?
I'm going to talk about, of my entire career.
Yes.
I mean, this is what you work for your whole life. So I'd say winning this in the Prudential Center. It's what you literally work for your entire life. Yeah.
And knowing that you're the captain of the
There's been so many incredible moments, don't get me wrong.
No, I know. There's been
I've had a
lot.
Hall of Fame career and I'm only 27, but this is we're laughing, but I can sit here and I could literally run down but yeah, that night.
And I remember that night and the press conference afterwards, like you said that you're the captain of the ship.
Yeah.
And there was uncertain times, and now, like you said, the ship has been righted, and now we're on a course, and this course is going to wind up in front of 81,000 fans this weekend.
I think we're at almost 277 days this reign, and I feel that the world title was beginning to become a little shaky. There was some weirdness going on, and I remember just telling everyone in that press conference, this isn't going to be shaky anymore. This is going to be the grandest prize of them all. And that is exactly what I've done. And I'm very proud of that.
And
that means more to me than anything I've done.
Yeah. But it also means, like, being the champion, as you said, means you're the best. But it also means something else to be the face of the company, the face of the show, which you are. I think when people think of AEW, not just because you're the champion, but for other reasons as well, they immediately think of you. And when you look at the roster of AEW right now, like you have legends on that roster.
Of course.
But when they think of the company, they think of yes. Yeah. I mean, yes.
I don't give a shit.
So,
it's the truth.
Like, what does that mean for you, knowing that you are the face of AEW?
Everything. This is what you work your whole life for as a professional athlete. I mean, this is what you dream about as a kid. I don't know how to expand upon it even more than that. I'm sorry. I wish I could.
No, that's perfect.
The word is everything. And what really means also everything to me from a future goal standpoint is I want to go down as people universally agreeing that this is the best AEW world title reign. That's a really big goal of mine among the many that I have. And I feel that I'm getting pretty damn fucking close to making that happen.
5 years ago was the first All In.
Yep.
5 years ago, there was no AEW. 5 years ago, people didn't think that you can draw 10,000 fans in an arena outside the WWE.
Yeah.
I don't think there was much of a pro wrestling world outside of the WWE. That's just 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And here we are 5 years later, and you and I are sitting here, you know, I'm able to expand Busted Open to a point where it's the #1 sports show.
We get it, Dave. We're all proud of you.
No, but it
Jesus Christ.
That's for all the walking, talking zombies who didn't even bother to fucking show up today to give me my flowers, but that's not the point. Now, here we are 5 years later. It's 2023.
I gave your wife flowers, though, Dave. Mark, you saw it. All right, no, ask the question. Ask the question.
Here it is 5 years later, 2023. And 5 years ago, people didn't think there'd be 10,000 fans in the arena. There's going to be over 80,000 fans.
We are close to 82,000 people.
But even more important than that.
Yeah.
5 years ago, you're in the opening match on the first All In front of 10,000 fans, and people were scratching their heads wondering why you were there.
Yeah.
Now you're in the main event. You're the champion in the main event. Just, it's incredible. Like, you couldn't dream up a better scenario than that. Think about that. Are you taking it in, like, here this whole week as we're leading up to this match? Do you understand the significance of what you, sir, have been able to accomplish in this 5 year period?
You know, it's shit, I'm tearing up. I always knew deep down, but it's hard because in life people will look at you and they will make fun of you and they will question you and they will they'll pick on you and they'll bully you and they'll push you around and they'll shove you down and they'll make you question yourself. And there were times where I did, but I'd always snap out of it and I'd say, you can do this. You can be the guy in wrestling. And there's so many reasons why I shouldn't have been. I did it. All that's left for me to do is to win in Wembley. And if I do, I genuinely become legendary. And that's not a line. That's a real thing. To be the biggest headliner in the history of the sport and to win. And the fact that I get to do it with somebody who means so much to me. And that's not, I feel like people think like me and Adam Cole, we like hang out on TV and they're like, okay, like bye. And then like he goes home. Like, I talk to this dude every day. He's my brother. I've never met somebody more caring, more supportive, more warm, and most of all, like more I've never really been able to trust anybody. Unfortunately, I have RSD. if anybody doesn't know what it is, it's rejection sensitive disorder, and it makes it essentially what's going to happen today, which is sad, is I'm going to leave this room, and just because this is the way my brain is wired, and it doesn't matter how much therapy I have, I'm going to leave this room and I'm going to go, well, they all hate me, which is why it made it so easy for me to be a piece of shit for my entire career, and it made it so hard for me to be like let my guard down. But like Adam Cole taught me how to let my guard down. He's made me a better person, and that's the God's honest truth. So the fact that I get to share this moment in history with somebody who is, people love to use the word shoot, but somebody who's like, shoot, my best friend. I love the dude, and it's crazy. And sure, we have our up and downs, just like any other friends do. Like, sometimes I want to hit him in the fucking face with this ring. Sometimes he wants to super kick my jaw off. But at the end of the day, we always hug it out. I'm going to beat you, Adam. But we'll hug it out.
I appreciate you saying those words about Adam Cole, but I want to bring it back to you.
Yeah.
Because that's why we're here. And that's why everybody came to be a part of this town hall today, was because...
Sorry, I almost cried there. It's so late.
Because I almost got teared up because... to see where you were and where you are right now, it is, for me, the most successful story that I've ever seen play out in front of me, in front of my own eyes, in real time. And I've been a part of the radio business for over 20 years, and I've been a pro wrestling fan for over 40 years, which shows two things. One, I'm fucking old. And two, that, I appreciate and I love this because I've made it my livelihood. And to see your success, it's been well earned. You earned everything that you have. You've earned that championship. You've earned the fact that we had this day. You've earned the fact that you're going to be wrestling in front of 81,000 fans on Sunday. And you've earned to be a part of maybe the most historic event in the history
fucking maybe.
Of pro wrestling.
What is the maybe? It's the biggest crowd ever. Maybe. Fuck your maybes. If you're saying maybe anywhere, suck a bag of dicks.
That's a lot of dicks.
Bleep that out if you want to. It's not enough dicks, Dave. It's not enough.
Well,
it's the biggest event in the history of the sport.
If we were talking about my ex-wife, it wouldn't be enough. But I'm being completely serious. Like, you've earned this. You've earned that championship gold around your waist.
So
you've earned this opportunity, and you've earned, everything that's come your way. And when I watch this on Sunday, I'm going to cry seeing you in the middle of that ring in this match, in the most historic main event. You're in it. You're in the most historic main event in the history of pro wrestling. So for that, sir, congratulations. And it's been a joy for me, even though you despise me and even though you said some of the most unkind words that anyone has ever said to me.
It's nothing you haven't thought about yourself.
I do love you, and I love what you've done for this business, and you should be proud of yourself because I know I'm proud of you, I know your family's proud of you, and I know your fans are proud of you. So congratulations. And, thank you for being a part of this event today. It means a lot to me, and it means a lot to our fans.
Well, yeah. All of you poors are very welcome. You're very welcome.
So, Sunday, Adam Cole, MJF, main event, 82,000 people by the time we get to Sunday, I'm sure.
And the opening on 0 Hour. No big deal. We might become your new AEW Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champion.
But you know what? And when after I say this, I'm going to stand up to applaud you. Your AEW World Champion, Maxwell Jacob Friedman, MJF.
Thank you. Buy the pay-per-view now, August 27th. If you don't buy it, I'm going to come to your house and have sex with your wife.
All All right. Thank you, everyone, for being a part of this. Thanks for listening.
Couple questions?
Yeah, 2 questions.
I'll allow it.
So we need Douglas Root.
What about all the weird people standing behind the glass like it's jail? Do they get questions too? They don't get to. Ha! Okay.
Should I stand, or do I actually even need this mic?
Douglas, you're making me uncomfortable. Sit down.
Okay,
Well,
I
you
will
need
sit.
it so that the radio audience can
Gotcha.
hear it.
Okay, so I like also how the question that I wrote in was written back down for me.
I got to pee, Doug. Make it quick.
You actually kind of answered my question already, but I
You're
would
welcome.
like you to elaborate on it some.
Okay.
You're so good on the mic.
Yeah.
Is that something that just comes to you naturally, or do you find yourself having to work on it, practice it in front of a mirror, or just other people?
Charisma came to me naturally. Being good on a microphone, just like anything else, takes practice. I would stand in front of a mirror holding my toothbrush for hours and hours and hours on end. So there's having a gift and there's hard work. And a lot of people just choose one or the other. Not me. I had a gift, but I decided to work just as hard. And if you put those together, that's how you have a Hall of Fame career.
And then we also have Jennifer from New York. Oh, there you go. Perfect.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, Jen.
So you actually did kind of answer it, talking a little bit about if there was a new student at Creative Pro and they wanted to kind of study tape of being able to develop character, how you have, what would you have them watch?
Well, I'm not a character. I'm just me. But I think the best era of professional wrestling to watch if you're a trainee is Jim Crockett Promotions. That is my answer.
Okay.
All right. Thank you,
We're good.
everybody.
All right.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. I want to thank everybody that, helped put this together as well. Paul, our producer, Andre, Big Boss Man, Eddie Brasili, Eric.
All right. I don't care about
everybody.
any of these people. I got
Yeah. Okay.
You guys hang out for a minute. We'll be back.
I wrote all these questions down. I didn't even use them.